What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Hockey Lab podcast. Great clap, guards.
Thank you.
Bringing us in. For those of you that don't know, when we need to sync up our audio and video, it requires a clap or some sort of loud noise. That's why you see the, what's that thing called, Cam? Waveform? The thing that opens and closes?
Oh, that's a slate.
Sling?
Slate.
Oh, a slate, excuse me. So Ryan does
I'm a slate.
he's our
I'm a
own personal
pusher.
slate. Yeah, absolutely. What's going on?
Not much. How was Vegas?
Vegas was good. Yeah, Vegas was good. It is this is for the parents listening, but it's a disgusting city.
It's a little bit of everything. Eh?
But we were at the Sphere, which was the craziest experience in the
Yeah, you
world.
said it was really nice.
So I wonder what it would be like seeing sports there. The UFC did a show. I wonder what sports would be like. It'd be out of control.
The NHL wanted to do their draft there, didn't they?
Did they?
I think they
Last year
they
They did it there?
last year at the Sphere, the draft.
Wow, that would be pretty cool then.
I don't know.
I don't
Cool
know.
to watch. I don't know, golf or something goes over
Golf
your
where the ball
head.
goes
or,
over your head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe that's that top. Was it Top Golf League?
TGL.
I tried to watch it a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago. Oh, I don't know. I appreciate what golf's doing. I think
Yeah.
it's great. Like they're trying to make the game more accessible. They're trying to switch up the formats, evolve. I think there's a lesson to be learned there for hockey, but man, is that boring to watch.
We talked about this earlier. I don't know if it was off camera, but they got to introduce. Or I was talking to some other guys. I think they need to introduce get an amateur in there, or get a like a star or like a non-golfer, and get them to hit it in spots where we usually hit it as amateurs, and then make the pros figure out how they're going to
Play out of there?
Yeah, okay,
That's
it's
actually
over.
great.
It's up in the third row because you hit the guy in the third row. You got to go up there and hit it off the chair. You know what I mean?
That'd be awesome.
They're so good, and they're able to, it's just like anything, right? It's like they just hit. I say it to my kids all the time. I should hit it well. They hit balls every day. Every day.
You know, I don't do this because I'm not a good enough golfer or care enough, but you know when you play just you and a buddy and you hit two balls and then you play the worst ball?
Yeah.
You pick your buddy's ball to play
Yeah,
from?
yeah.
That's what you want. The
Yeah.
amateur just hits and they just play the worst lies, the worst locations.
And just to show everybody how hard it is to do it under pressure and stuff like that. So
I've also seen the YouTube series where golfers go to municipal courses and they try and go as low as they can.
Yeah.
And because the course isn't what they're used to, it's actually hard for them.
there's bumps and
There's bumps, they're putting, the reed's not what they think it is. It breaks ways it's not supposed to.
get them to come up here and play on the greens that are open right after our nice winter freeze when there's dead grass still, or half the greens aren't even in. So
Yeah. It is tough. When you go to a place Wooden Sticks is a good example. When you get there on a windy day, late in the season, it's you couldn't even possibly remove everything between here and the hole if you wanted to.
no leaf rules and everything.
Yeah. So that's awesome. But anyway, Vegas was good. Highlight of Vegas, I would say, outside of the Sphere, which was really cool. Conference, listen to some impressive people that work with some really high-profile athletes. Dan Garner, Andy Galpin were there. They spoke a lot, which was awesome. So
Are those the ones that work with athletes?
They work with athletes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do they do?
Andy Galpin's a tenured professor at UC Berkeley, but he works with MLB, UFC, NBA.
In what capacity?
Sports performance, which is a bit of a blanket term. I do appreciate that, but combination of strength and conditioning, supplementation. He's got really cool technology. It is called Sleep Better, maybe. I think I'll check that. But essentially, they've taken when you go get a sleep exam.
Yeah.
So you're in a room. It's as bright as the lights that we have here. It's loud. It's terribly uncomfortable. You don't sleep, so they don't get a real assessment. So they've created for at-home technology where you have the equivalent of that sleep exam in your house every day for 30 days.
Okay.
And so it's a combo of tech electrodes that get you put on yourself. The data gets sent in, and then they can track your sleep for a month and then advise on what needs to change,
right.
Which is really cool. They also
you would have to log on, what you're eating, what time you're going to bed, what you're drinking.
Well, they know
all
what
that
time
stuff.
you're going to bed, but
Sorry,
right?
I guess.
But they would just look at your sleep quality. So obviously it would be good to have additional metrics.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that they have that was really cool is this sensor that plugs in that their athletes will take on the road with them, and so it will monitor ambient environment. And so let's say, for example, you have a dog. Okay, so there's you're sleeping in your room and your dog's in your room and you've got a bunch of different, you've got a computer and a plant and whatever. And so your door's shut and your blinds are shut and you're getting no airflow through the room, and the CO2 levels over the course of the night are starting to creep up and rise. And so they're not going to get to the point where it's dangerous for you, but they are going to get to the point where it starts to disrupt your sleep.
Okay.
And so they'll see that, as CO2 increases, sleep quality decreases drastically. And so as you have multiple people in a room, when you have animals in a room, like the amount of off-gassing just increases. So they've got a sensor that just lets you know that. And so to like open your door and crack the window, and you're going to fix your sleep problems pretty quickly without even realizing, or without knowing why exactly.
So note to self, just open your window.
Just like the note to self is like get a little airflow, like open your door, crack your window. But it's like things like that. Or you're traveling, for example. If you're a high level athlete, you're traveling, you're in a hotel. It's just one thing to check.
We take a humidifier with us.
You need to. It's terrible.
So quick story on the the closed doors. And I feel really bad, and I don't want to throw my mom and her boyfriend under the bus, but they came and visited us when we were playing in Europe. And part of your apartment, downstairs, you have the big barrack doors where you have storage, right? So what I used to do is I'd set it up for sleeping. So when the kids were younger and I have to go on my pregame nap, I get down there and just lock it up like a cellar. But it's a thick door, no airflow, no nothing.
Right.
And so she had just retired, so they came over on the plane, and I think just the whole thing of stopped working and then picked something up on the plane. I think she might have taken care of my sister's kids. Comes over as sick, and we throw them down in the basement because that's where they were going to sleep. But the door was closed the whole time, and it just got worse for the both of them for weeks on end. And I felt so bad. A week, I'm like, maybe when we cracked the door and started to crack the door, airflow came in.
Felt better.
Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, we sleep. I love sleeping with the windows open and getting good airflow, but. Yeah, I felt bad for her there.
And then the other thing that they talked about, which I thought was interesting, is this idea of digital twins. And so you'll be able to take, it's pretty crazy actually, you'll be able to take all of your data, everything that they know about you from a medical perspective. And there's lots of different utilizations, but from a medical perspective, and create a digital twin, essentially. So these are all of your markers. This is what you have going on. These are your predispositions. These are the health concerns that you have. Then they can run simulations against your digital twin to see what would happen if we did this surgery or not, if we give you this medication or not. And we can get a better estimate of the consequence of our actions. And so you can treat people through, I think they called it, what was the term? I'd have to check my notes, but essentially it was sensory feedback. We have all these sensors. People are wearing them all the time. Let's start using that data and treating people on a more individualized basis, which for us is cool because that's what we try and do here. Now, Is it perfect? No, it's not. But we're trying to get as close to an N of 1 as possible. So can we, and I talked to a parent about this, his son plays in the OHL. He's going to get drafted to the NHL. He's going to go pretty high. I'm going to say first 2 rounds. And we talked about it. We're trying to create an N of 1 experience as much as we possibly can. Yeah. With that said, there are parameters, you maybe if you're Connor McDavid, not so much because you've got the resources to apply it. But, for a young kid just starting his career, he's going to have to train with other people. And then even still, you need other people on the ice to train together. So it can't always be all about you, but can we get as specific as possible?
Right. Like what we talked about, cutting shifts and watching them.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Talking to their teams, what we want to do this summer is just saying, okay, what is this person have to work on? Mm-hmm. And surely enough, there's going to be 3 or 4 that have to work on the same stuff. Of course.
So can we get it as specific
More
as possible? And so that's what they were talking about, just in terms of sports performance and then health in general. So being able to really lock in on you as the individual, which I thought was awesome.
So here's a question for you, and I don't know. It's weird that you're talking about this, and I was thinking about this the other day. So we as parents, we've talked about this. You want to provide the most that your kid can have in the sense of, you want to get him the best training if he loves the hockey game, and you want to get him on the ice with the right people and the recovery and this and that. So I think the new generation has everything kind of open to them, and they have way more stuff than we do. Mm-hmm. And does it still, I still think with all that stuff, it still comes down to a couple important things. You could have the greatest setup in the world, but if you don't individually deep inside want it and push to it, I just don't think it's
of course
you can't build. I still don't think you can build a hockey player, but you just can't build no,
you need to have some internal drive.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. You provide everything, and then it's okay, if you keep providing everything, do they think that it's you've given them everything, so they'll just come to them?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think you hope that you have a child or an athlete that it's almost like in anything, but it's almost like, okay, once there's a spark, then can you
feed the fuel?
Then can you feed it?
Yeah.
And then can you help that fire grow?
Yeah.
we also met with another player who's probably going to go first overall this year. And I got a chance to talk to his dad this week, and his dad was awesome. And he was just talking about, just the process coming up for his son and what it was like. And he said that he's like, we played in the OHL our whole career. We played close to home. He's like, I believe in hometown hockey.
Yep.
I wanted him to play with his friends.
Yep.
He's like, even just like agency, he's like, obviously we're really happy. We love our agency. He's like, but they would come to me when he was 13, 14. Can I talk to him? Can I meet him in the dressing room? Can I come over to the house? Can I buy you a beer? Can we go for dinner? I'd be like, no, you can't. Absolutely not. He's like, you don't know if my kid's going to pop yet. I don't know if my kid's going to pop yet. Yeah, he looks like he's good, but lots of kids look like they're good. Yeah. Like, let's just wait and see. And now that, okay, he is good. And on top of that, he's super passionate about it. He's like, now I'm happy to support as much as I possibly can.
Right.
And he's like, it's not that I wasn't supporting before. It's just like, let's wait and see. Yeah. And once we know, like, then we're all in.
Yeah. And I think, from what you said about hometown hockey, I think that's now changing. These open borders have created this mass exodus from this idea of hometown hockey. And it's to the point of like, I think it works both ways. Like him, the person you're talking about, we can gather that he's probably a really good player. So any team would have wanted him.
Of course.
Right? And this is back to the conversation we had, right? So if you're a really good hockey player, you're going to have your pick of the litter.
Yep.
So you can make that decision to stay in hometown hockey. But for other kids, it might be, I have to leave because I'm not wanted here.
Right.
How do we go about it? How do we transition? What do we want to do? And then do you leave? And then everybody has that sense of like, well, they didn't want me. I'm not going to go back. It's.
No, I'm not saying it's not challenging. That story was more so just to talk about the fact that he just let him play and develop, and then once he found out what he really liked, then they're adding on.
100%.
The other person that I listened to talk was your girl.
Oh, great book.
Angela Duckworth.
I think I gave it to my buddy down the street. I still haven't gotten it back yet.
Okay, Grit.
So Patrick, bring it back.
If you're listening to this, you should probably buy the book and read it.
It's a great book.
Grit. Grit. She's a tenure professor, and all of her research has been around the idea of grit and what makes success. And it was really interesting because she spoke a little bit. Her father passed away, but she was talking about how he was the one that kind of drove her towards this. And she said that her dad would ask these like hilarious questions, like, who was the greatest physicist of all time? Was it Newton or Einstein? She's like, my dad knew nothing about either of them. He just loved people that were great at it, and he just wanted to talk and debate. And he would do this all the time for a variety of different categories. And she said that he really instilled in her this idea of greatness and the pursuit of greatness and what makes greatness. And then as she went down that road, what she thought it was going to be and what it turned out to be were not the same things. And so I won't, like, this isn't a spoiler on the book, but one of the things that she talked about is like Royal Military Academy, like the U.S. Military Academy. And so they do intake testing for everyone that comes in. Cam, check this for me. Go Grit Military Academy, see which one it is so I don't mess this up. I was going to say it's Annapolis, but I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It's the other one.
It's when you're becoming an officer.
Yeah. I thought it was the big one. I read the book, so I think it's the one.
Let's get the correct name.
But yeah, so the intake form, I remember these questions.
Sorry, I'm still looking.
Okay. Come on, Jamie. Young Jamie. Faster. So once Cam gets his name, West Point. Excuse me. So West Point. Yeah. So there you go. So West Point Military Academy. So all of the incoming applicants for West Point Military Academy went through the grit scale analysis.
Yeah. She was able to.
Had access, and so
She asked to do the testing.
Correct.
Because they wanted to know how they could. They asked her, how can we pick and choose which ones, or how do we know which kids are going to last?
Correct.
She
and
said,
so,
well, let's do this.
Yeah. So they have it mapped across a graph, and so there's a likelihood of success access on the one side, and they overlay grit scores versus physical scores. And so your physical scores into West Point basically don't matter in that they don't indicate success.
Because
everyone's already a stud. Yeah. So to get to West Point, you are like the valedictorian of your high school and your college, and you're a multi-sport athlete. Yeah. And you actually need a letter of recommendation from an active U.S. governor or senator. And so it is not easy to get into this place. So physical scores don't matter, but what they saw is there was a huge increase in the likelihood of success based on your grit score. The higher you scored on the grit scale, the more likely you were to graduate from West Point. Yeah. And what's interesting is that most of the dropouts happen in the first 2 months at West Point, which is hilarious because it takes about 3 or 4 years even to get accepted. So you have all these people that worked super hard, for 2, 3, 4 years just to get accepted to West Point.
Yeah.
And then they drop out after a
remember.
month.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And success was dictated by grit, which I think is obvious when you think about it, I suppose, but still surprising that is the most important characteristic to cultivate for success.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Insane.
No, I had it put, after I read the book, I had it put on mats for the kids.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So my first year, second year, we got floor mats for their bags.
Yep.
And it was like the team's name and then grit, big red. I still have it when we play on Wednesday.
You pull it out?
Yeah.
You
Well, I
remind
use
yourself.
it,
A little grit out there.
Yeah, it was my grit scale was good last week.
It was. And you guys got the win.
Yeah. No, it's pretty intense about how like all those things, and it all talks about commitment and sticking with things and having struggles, and yeah, it's interesting. And this goes back to kind of what we were talking about a minute ago. Is like how do you mimic that for kids?
Yeah.
Right? So it's interesting. So
Well,
that was good.
Yeah. So that was Vegas. That was
Awesome.
That's what's up.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was. Now we're back. We're getting into it. We're closer and closer to opening at the new facility.
Excited.
Off-season coming up.
Excited.
I am going to talk about one thing real quick.
Okay, go.
Okay, so in a perfect world, we would love for everyone to be able to come work with us, obviously. Selfishly, perhaps, but yeah, we think that we have something really special to offer, and it would be amazing to have these athletes come in and come through our doors. Now, we understand that that's not actually possible for everyone from either a geographical or financial position, or, you've just got people that you care about in your life that you're loyal to, and I think that's amazing. So to help with that, this really does sound like an infomercial. So
It's great.
So-
It's gonna pop up on the bottom.
yeah.
Of the screen.
So to help with that, we put together a 28-day off-season email guide.
Okay.
So for 28 days, we'll send you an email every single day talking about aspects of the off-season that you should think about and consider. And so the idea was, even if you don't come work with Gary Roberts Performance, you could read these emails every day. They're super short, decently well-written. And at the end of that month, you would be able to structure an off-season for your child or for yourself, or you'd be able to go to someone and ask the right questions, because it's hard. You don't know who to go with, who to train with. I had a parent that I talked to today, talk about where his son trains. He's a good little player. He's like, I don't know if they're doing the right thing, they're doing the wrong thing. He's like, he goes in, he's got a good sweat, good workout, but I don't know if it's actually helping make him better. So our thought was, here's information that you could take to someone that you're working with, and you could ask intelligent questions that would
Correct.
tell you if it's going to help with your child's development. So if you want that info, we'll just put it, link in the bio or down in the description. 28 days, 28 tips. Figure out how to structure an off season so that you can be successful regardless of where you are.
Yeah, so that'll get you end of April, right?
Well, it's not. It'll get you the end of April, but
And then you
it'll
can
give you the
plan.
tools
Yeah,
to.
that's what I'm saying. You
Yes.
plan May, June, July. August.
Correct. It'll give you the tools to spend the next 3 months as efficiently as possible.
Right. And so if we talked about that, let's talk about what your thoughts are on. We've seen Rob's talking about a lot here about getting off the ice.
Yeah, we're having a lot of those
I
conversations.
know. It's I'm going to say it's hard. You know where I stand on this stuff, but I do think it's back to this open borders idea, this craziness of hockey. It is hard, and it's been now a couple years since we had fall tryouts. I remember having fall tryouts, and
Did you like that better?
you know what? I at first I was like, because now kids will stay on the ice all summer, but now I'm like, I don't know, like. Maybe because you could, in sense, your season ends. Let's say it ends. Everybody, even like the older boys, right? They got. I think the OMHAs are this weekend for certain age groups. The G's finishing up. A couple guys will go to the OHL Cups around Easter time. OHFs. So let's say we're done April. So that's the really good kids, or not the
Teams.
really good teams, the
Great
good
teams.
teams. So you could, in essence, have May, April. Let's say April, May, June. 3 months where you don't even have to go on the ice. Maybe once a week.
Just once a week.
Just to touch points, skills, skating. But you could really spend those 3 months doing other sports, working out, really, going crazy. Now I find it's like we stop, and then it's like, boom, you gotta spend another month on the ice for a lot of these kids to get in front of coaches and try to get picked. And then by then April's over. Now you're May, and then I don't know. I don't know what's right. And kids are not going to grow until later on. But whatever we do, just get off the ice a little bit.
Yeah, you won't forget how to skate.
Yeah.
We have a couple kids in here that are kind of they're okay players. They have okay skill. They're not elitely skilled, but they're not physically dominant right now. And so if you're in that situation where you are not elitely skilled, but you don't have, the
Other
engine and the
characters.
gas tank and the ability to push, you're going to be in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're just not going to be skilled enough to get out of situations that some of your teammates could, but then physically you won't have the ability to support that. And so if you're a player like that, this period becomes even more critical. There's guys in the NHL, okay, everyone in the NHL is skilled, but there's guys in the NHL that aren't that skilled comparatively, but
To the top end, yeah.
to the top end, but they're workhorses and they play a specific game. And we talked about, I talked about Mindset Monday last week or the week before, just kind of knowing your role, right? They have a huge engine. They're strong, they're physical, they finish hits, they block shots. Like they play their role. And as a result, they're a key part of their team. And so that's maybe harder to think about as a younger player.
Yeah.
But it's part of it.
But I think it starts earlier than it used to be. Everybody wants to be skilled. Everybody wants to be the goal scorer. Everybody wants to be the guy that distributes the puck and plays all the time. But unfortunately, not everybody is that player.
Of course.
And you have to find what you're good at.
Yeah.
I think there's things that you have to have no matter what. You have to have you got to be a great teammate. You got to be about the team. You got to have good commitment.
Good character.
All those characteristics, those are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
But then the other ones is okay, so you can't, stick handle like certain players, but you can make smart decisions to not turn it over in certain areas and then go back and get it, right? Or I think a huge one nowadays, and we were talking with Gary the other day about it, and is just get to the front of the net.
Right.
I wasn't extraordinarily talented in certain aspects of the game, but I mean, I knew that if I went to the front of the net,
good things are going to happen.
sooner or later, the puck's coming there. So, and if
bounce.
not, we'll just back check. But I think it's interesting you say that. But I do agree, the off ice time is important, but people just want to just keep pounding the rock, and get on the ice. And I think it'd be interesting one day if we talk about why it's important in hockey comparable to the other sports, because you see other sports such as swimming or these ones, and maybe they do take time out of the pool, but
swimming, I think
or gymnastics.
If either of my kids swim, we will try a different model because I don't think their model's right.
Okay,
they
spend
spend way too much time in the pool.
Yeah,
I don't believe that is making them better swimmers. I really don't. I think that it's survivor bias. You saw some swimmers that got really good based on this model, and then you assume that everyone can do it,
and nobody's kind of reshaped it.
I don't. If my kids swim, we will try it differently. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to ruin their Olympic dreams, but we will do it differently because I don't believe that it's accurate.
Yeah, well, that's my thing, right? We talk about get off the ice, and then you look at swimmers, gymnasts. There's another one, all day, every day.
Yeah, there's a time and a place, of course, for everything.
Yeah.
But time away. Yeah. Well, Olympic weightlifters, they take time away. They don't Olympic weightlift the entire year.
Listen, from an amateur guy here,
yeah.
I didn't hit a sim all year.
And your golf game?
I'm itching to golf right now.
Yeah, you're excited.
You're
excited.
I'm working on it.
I saw you doing your twists in the gym with the dowel.
So there is that sort of, take the apple away and then do it. So
if the kids swim, Wes, Kenny, we're doing it different.
Yeah.
So I just think that off season, you need to bear down on it. If it's, if you're at that stage now where you really care about hockey, you want to try and have a future in it, then it's time. And
it goes all back to the same principles we talked about, right? You're committed to something, right?
Yeah.
It'd be great just to, you still have those times to hang out. I mean, a lot of our athletes now, they'll work hard during the week, and then they'll have their weekends where they go and be with their buddies and relax a little bit. And it's nice. So, I mean, I enjoyed watching the boys last year. A lot of the older guys, they'll just go out and hang out and play 9 holes of golf together, or just do something, go play some tennis or something like that. So, but they still get their work done, and they understand that, right?
OHL playoffs.
Oh, sorry. Schools. Go ahead. OHL.
Say OHL playoffs coming up.
Yeah. It's gonna be a couple battles.
How about the gens round? First round.
Mississauga, right?
Mississauga versus Oshawa. Yeah. Probably conference final in round 1. What? Oh, sorry. Thank you, Cam. Brampton and Mississauga just play ping pong with teams.
Yeah.
They just send them back and forth.
Yeah, there's that one's good.
Draft pick for draft pick.
Yeah.
They're stacked.
Yeah. There's another. Who's Ottawa playing? Ottawa's playing. Are they?
Yeah.
Kingston.
I think Sudbury's got Kingston.
Yeah.
Sudbury's got Kingston, which should be a short one.
Yeah.
Erie has Saginaw. I think that's going to be a short one. Saginaw's probably taking that one. They've got a ton of offensive firepower.
Yeah, it's exciting times for those guys, right? Like, I think I talked to a couple guys that seen the last couple games in the year, and just sort of like a kick in, just kind of like, let's get this done, let's not get hurt, and let's get this going right away. So it'd be interesting to see. I feel like the OHL's come so far that there's always a step up. Right now, the playoffs it's another level, and it's the same as like the playoffs in any aspect of sport. Right,
It's the best part of hockey.
And we got the OHL Cup going on right now. Our boys are flying there.
Ooh, I think the game puck drop just right now for Sammy and the boys.
Yeah, so Eddie had an amazing Edgar an amazing tournament for YSC. So
They went what 2-2?
they went 2-2. Yeah,
Bounced.
Yeah,
Like VK, they lost to VK in Sun County, maybe I think I saw.
yes.
Yeah, and then they beat the Cyclones upper.
And JRC.
I'd never even heard. I didn't like the Cyclones. I didn't know where they were.
We talked the other day. There's that one team that's in there that's running the table. TPH.
And Detroit.
Yeah, Caesars is a really good team.
Yeah.
So
How do you get in the OHL Cup?
they've changed it. There's like a board of guys choosing now. So
And you just pick.
I think
So it's like an invitation tournament now.
It's becoming that.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'm sure if you win, you got to go in. But yeah.
All right. Good
Yeah,
hockey.
but so playoffs, man. It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be, it kind of just everything goes back to like the simplistic parts of hockey. Be
Play good, solid, fundamental hockey.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. No.
And the whistles go away. You've seen it. You watch it in the NHL every day.
I know.
I mean, we just went through it in Europe, the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, are
2
they?
Game 7s, and like battles, like a battle. But it was crazy. It was like guys were running around. From my standpoint, I think they were running around in the first 4 or 5 games, and then Game 7, it was like the cleanest game ever because nobody wanted to take like a dumb penalty or a stupid put their team down, right? Like it was like maybe a 4 or 5, not even, I don't know, 3 penalties last night.
Really?
So it's like, okay, we're just gonna play hard, play smart.
Who's going through?
So we got Zurich, DeVos, Lausanne, and Freiburg are going through.
All right.
So yeah,
Swiss hockey, baby.
Swiss hockey on the rise.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on, Gards.
Thanks
Anything
for
else you want to
being
chat about?
on. No, thank you.
Just a little.
Glad you got back from Vegas safe.
Yeah, safe and sound.
Yeah.
Off season. If you're a GR athlete and we haven't seen you in the gym yet, let's go.
Yeah.
It's time.
And 28 days.
28. Oh yeah, 28 days, 28 tips. Figure out how to structure your own off season. Like I said, we'd love for everyone to train with us, and if you're interested, please reach out. But if not, here's something that you can take away and apply. Right? Knowledge is power.